Hey, good morning everyone, Trackman44 here. Hey, having a couple of sheet metal tools, you get some really odd requests sometimes, for some crazy things. I've made parts and pieces for old antique tractors and gas tanks and stuff for the old flywheel engines, things like that over the years. Just about anything you can imagine, people ask me if I can make for them. Well, today's no exception. Look over here at the corner, and you see a fancy looking piece of expensive material. I have no idea what it is, but this chunk 30 inches wide, inch and 1/8 thick, and 15 inches deep, weighs about 65 pounds or so. I have no idea what the material is, but it's very, very nice, very, very heavy. But a buddy of mine is upgrading his kitchen and had all new cabinets and countertops put in, and he had to have this section of his countertop cut out for the new stove. So what he did, he had the company take this back to the shop and polish the edges that they had to cut to where it's completely finished all the way around, and he wants to use it as an additional backsplash on the back of his already 7-inch tall backsplash on the new cabinets, and this is going to match that material, of course. So he just wants to literally set it on top of it, glue it against the wall, but he wants a retainer clip up at the very top to make sure, because of the weight, it doesn't eventually pull away from the wall and crash down on the stove. So what he wants me to do is make some kind of a Z-shaped bracket out of stainless steel, something of pretty high quality material that's going to actually hold it in place in addition to the glue for added security. So that's what the task is for the day. The problem is coming up with a good enough piece of scrap that's in good enough shape to where it's going to work. And I think I got it right here. I have a kink out there, but we're only going to use about this much of it. Use your thickness gauge right here. It gauges at approximately 0.036 in thickness. I'd have to think too hard to convert that to an actual gauge in metal. This type of stainless of any gauge is a little difficult to cut. That's some nasty stuff to cut. Didn't turn out too bad, but we can't leave that raw edge because it's going to show once you get it in the light. You can actually see every time the snip came down. We don't want to see that in the guy's kitchen. So we're going to go ahead and trim this and put safety hems on the outside edge of it. The safety hems will eliminate these snip marks, and it'll also give a safety edge that won't have any sharp areas whatsoever. Well, I forgot to turn the camera on. I double checked the measurement to make sure it was accurate, and I did nothing more than fold a 90 degree, the very first 90 degree on it. So that's where we're at right now. That'll be the part that'll attach it to the wall. Now we have to bend the Z down by turning this in and folding it up. But we're coming into a problem because even though the bending bar, the additional bending bar here, is very beneficial to you, in bending heavier gauge material, it's also detrimental when you have to build something that's extremely accurate like this right here. So I've got to stop and I've got to take the bending bar off. I've got to remove this series of bolts right here and pop that off of there real quick. And you'll see why here in a second. That's very obvious. We no longer have that bending bar on there, so now we can bend a closer 90 in the other direction. If that bending bar was still on there, this would be up like this right here, and you would end up with a rounded 90, and also you'd have something that you couldn't spring in place because this particular polished and buffed stainless steel is more like a spring. You bend it and it'll spring back. Galvanized is much more forgiving. You can actually put it to overbend or underbend and finish it just a little bit with a mallet. But this guy right here, once I get my accurate measurement on that for the thickness of the material of the backsplash, then I'll latch this down and we'll fold that into the Z. Again, see how this will bend down now without that big 2-inch bending bar? I'm going to go ahead and fold a 90 degree. So hopefully this will do what we want it to do and still be plenty, be presentable enough, you know, for the application. There we go. The exact length. So now I got to make him some equidistant mounting holes here on the back side. By the time he puts his glue onto the wall and then smashes this up against it, this will be able to apply just enough pressure to hold everything in place. So this is what you'll see for a backsplash behind the kitchen range. Of course, this will be drawn in tight. He's going to use 5 toggle bolts, but he'll use those ornamental washers that'll cover the holes, and all you'll see will be the ornamental washer and then the head of the 3/16 toggle bolt. But that's it. It ought to be good enough. So there we are, guys. Another quick and simple little project done. Got to call my buddy, have him come pick it up. And you know what? This is TrackMan 44, and I'm out here, guys.